research study is based on policing. To be more specific, we investigated the policing agency of the New Mexico State Police. The main focus and intention of our research was to find out how this particular department of the criminal justice system affects the different communities that exist within the state of New Mexico, and what are the different outcomes of such effects for each of these communities. We believe this study was worth doing primarily because the purpose of it relates to the themes of this course, including the issues and myths that are present in the criminal justice system, which involves the agency of policing that we chose to investigate. More importantly, we conducted this study in hopes to better understand how such issues and myths play their role in our communities and how they are impacted as a result.
Police in America and New Mexico have always had bad reputations, with more recently the public trying to handle police brutality. The modern United States police force was new in terms of being supported by the government and having full-time employees instead of people that were volunteering to be on the police force. With urban cities becoming the central problem that needs policing, certain communities were developing in urban cities, whether they just wanted to stick together or because of redlining. There is no one right way that policing communities should stick to, because not all communities are going to react to policing in the same way.
For our research proposal on policing, we chose very early on that we wanted to focus on qualitative methods and methodologies. Firstly, we knew we had to include secondhand research as one of our main sources of not only information, but data as well. Then we decided to do interviews as a way to get data that would focus on real-life experiences and opinions from those who have any experience with law enforcement. The interview revolved around open-ended questions that would push the interviewees to think relatively sound about their answers. The questions would also get more than a short, simple answer from the interviewees. The purpose of this interview is to provide us with real-life data on observations and opinions by those who experience being in law enforcement and /or with law enforcement. This brings me to the methodology and our framework. Based on the questions for the interview, our framework would be and revolve around narrative research, since part of our data collection is from lived experiences through stories from the interviewees. Then the data collected from secondary research and the answers from the interviewees, we looked at how closely the findings were from both and then compared and contrasted how the findings were from each other. Especially since some of the secondary data we found are a bit dated, we would see how much of a change this dated data and our recent interview answers would provide to us.
Our group interviewed a police couple who have been married for 10 years. They both went to college and later went to the academy here in New Mexico to become a police officer and have been in law enforcement for about 15 years. Mr. Lopez chose to become a police officer after being raised by his father, who was also an officer, and he always admired and respected those who served our country. Ms. Lopez chose this career after realizing that becoming a nurse would not be possible, but does not regret her career choice now. We asked them on a scale from 1 to 10 how safe they feel at their job at being a police officer here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, 10 being the safest. They both said 4 to 5. Ms. Lopez said that she has to stand her ground and be more aware of what she's doing, since women in the force are given less respect than men. Mr. Lopez said that there's days he does feel safe, but on others he needs to be aware of his safety in certain situations. This couple made it clear that they were conservatives, and both decided not to really speak on certain topics when asked, which made them want to skip various interview questions that they thought could jeopardize their job, which is why they decided to stay anonymous for this interview.
Within the last few decades, the U.S. and its general public have been trying to handle the difficult topic of issues such as police brutality. Within the last year, it has been one of the biggest talking points within our country. Knowing this, police have not had the best reputation. As we came in researching this topic, we wanted to focus on how the New Mexico State Police have affected the surrounding communities within the state and some of the repercussions they may have found. As we focus on the diverse communities that reside in New Mexico, it was important for us to have the background knowledge that is accessible to us to make sure we handle our research as credible and respectable as possible. Learning and understanding what our community has experienced with our police force and the repercussions of those experiences was the core of our study. In conclusion, what we have seen over the course of our research is that after interviewing police under a qualitative and narrative methodology, it has helped us to establish particular information about the lives of police officers in New Mexico. These questions gave us insight into the viewpoint these police have about their own community and and what they believe to be good and bad about their job. This allowed us to look closely at the details and get a better understanding of what the state police are, do, and represent within our communities.
Here are the lessons for our group project. Some positive takeaways are that we worked as a team to overcome challenges that we faced at the start of this project. We didn't have a lot for leads, and the ones that we had ghosted us. We came together and we did not stop trying to find a state police officer to interview. Some things that we could have changed or improved on are, as a group, we could be more talkative and communicate more. We could communicate more on missing class. Also, be more willing to discuss our own opinions instead of just saying yes to one person. There would be times where one person would have an idea and the group would just say yes and not really have any feedback or opinions on it.